Keep on keeping tab on what's happening in Makueni, the 7th Annual Devolution Conference. Our reporter Daniel Kariuki is still in Makueni covering the events there. Kariuki, lots of focus on the climate. What else is standing out at the conference?
Disasters are highly contextual.
Right, very good morning to you, and you've said it right. The conference is ongoing, and of course, yesterday was the official opening. President Uhuru Kenyatta addressing delegates virtually and officially opening the conference. Right now, there is a discussion that is ongoing there in matters to do with climate change and disaster risk management. And of course, apart from climate, there are other issues that are going to be discussed here during the devolution. Of course, it has brought together about 3,000 delegates from different departments, and I want us right now to speak about matters to do with the trade and manufacturing. And I'm joined by Executive Director of KIPRA, Rose Ngugi. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN News. And of course, I want us to delve in matters to do with the trade and manufacturing. This conference is actually focusing on climate, but well, manufacturing also, and issues to do with the trade is part of the what will be discussed later on in a panel. Maybe you can just tell us, why is it then very important to have this discussion of trade and manufacturing during this conference that we are having that is largely dealing with matters to do with climate?
Yeah, thank you very much. As you've heard, my name is Rose Ngugi. I'm the Executive Director of Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, and we have a key mandate to promote evidence-informed policy-making process. Our engagement in this conference is actually to discuss matters to do with manufacturing and trade. And the key question you're asking is why in the context of climate change. And you'll notice that the two sectors stand in between the climate change issues. On one hand, manufacturing is affected very much when you have a drought in the country, because manufacturing in Kenya is more engaged in agro-processing. So when drought condition is there, it affects agricultural production, which affects the key input that goes into manufacturing. In terms of trade, you'll notice that a lot of our distribution of goods and services is done through land transport. And with land transport, it means that we have motor vehicles being used to carry goods and goods from everywhere. And transport is indicated to contribute about 20% of carbon emissions in Kenya. 40% of carbon emissions in Kenya, while manufacturing through the industrial combustion contributes about 20% of the carbon emission in the country. So you'll notice therefore that manufacturing, whereas is being affected by drought, it also has implications in terms of the production process. And our manufacturing is mainly dominated by micro and small enterprises, and they have not very high level of technology, which means that when it comes to issues of energy that is green, you are using in production, when it comes to energy efficiency in the production process, it becomes a key issue, because the technology that is being used by MSCs is actually not of high level.
Right, right, and as we speak, our neighbors in the East African community, we talk of Uganda, Tanzania, things to do with trade and manufacturing, they are really offering some competition to the Republic of Kenya. What do you feel maybe should be done in the EAC to ensure that there is that collaboration of trade and manufacturing in East Africa?
Yes, Kenya has an advanced manufacturing sector. When it was growing its manufacturing, producing Colgate, producing cooking fat and the like, the manufacturers in the East African community was very low. But over time, we have seen Rwanda, we have seen Uganda, they are nurturing their manufacturers, yeah? So that at the moment one would say that we are almost at par as far as low technology manufacture is concerned. But for Kenya, we need actually to cultivate our niche in manufacturing in the region by moving from the low technology to high technology industries, yeah? And one of the things that you have noticed during the COVID period is that the pharmaceutical industry seems to have grown very well. And it gives us an opportunity actually to exploit further the pharmaceutical, because pharmaceutical is a high technology industry. And by exploiting it, we actually be able to get back to where we were as far as competitiveness, and also as far as the niche that we are exporting to the region is concerned.
Right.
Again, having high technology manufacturing means that you are actually moving towards a high complex product structure. And with a high complex product structure, it means that you can strengthen the value chains. And if we are depending on agro-processing, you can imagine how we can strengthen the value chains and ensure that even in the rural community, we have a clear contribution, including also by the micro and small enterprises.
Right, thank you. And right now, as we speak, manufacturing is contributing about 7% to the GDP of the country. And they expect that it's going to be contributing about 15% maybe in the future. What do you think can be done to ensure that we reach this target of the 15% to the GDP through manufacturing?
Yeah, in the Big Four agenda, it's very true that the target for the government is to have manufacturing contribute 15% of GDP. Right now, the sector seems to have stagnated to about 7%, which is almost half, yeah? And with the COVID, what we have seen is that there is a capability in that sector that we are not utilizing. The fact that we are able to manufacture PPEs in a very, very short time means that there are opportunities in the sector that can actually be exploited, yeah? And one of the key elements that I see very opportune for us is the Africa Free Trade Area, which is now operational. The manufacturing sector can actually exploit this market and be able to produce, not just for East African community, but also produce for the region. But most importantly is also to move away from the low technology manufacturers and get into the high technology manufacturing.
Right.
That would help us to get a niche in the market. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And maybe my final question, we have heard that the government coming up with the special economic zones and industrial parks. Of course, even those who are seeking the top position, these are part of the agenda that they are putting out there. How can Kipra be maybe involved in matters to do with, or rather, how can manufacturing come along with the industrialization and also the industrial park and the special economic zone? How can they collaborate maybe?
You see, at the moment, as I've indicated, our manufacturing is dominated by micro and small enterprises. These micro and small enterprises are normally in commercial areas. They are not in industrial areas, yeah? Which means that they tend to lack that opportunity to learn, that opportunity to network, and also that opportunity to adapt to new technology if they are together with other big industrial manufacturers. Yeah? So what the special economic zones would do is not only provide them with the infrastructure that they require, but also put them in a situation where they are working very closely, networking with the big manufacturers. Right. And that way they will also have, they'll see themselves with enhancing their technology.
Right, thank you, thank you. I know time is not on our side, and I can see you have the chairman, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you can just introduce us in 30 seconds so that I hand it back to studio, the chairman of KIPPRA.
Yeah, thanks very much. I want to take this moment to introduce our new board chair, Professor Ben Sihanya. Can say something about it.
In 30 seconds. Because
thank you so much. It's a pleasure to join KIPPRA as board chair. Our role is mainly policy, oversight, and strategy. So we expect to work with the KIPPRA management and the KIPPRA staff to deliver to Kenyans, to deliver on KIPPRA's mandate, which is evidence-based policy research and analysis, right, including on the questions of manufacturing, the difficult question of climate change, which will really affect all that we do in this country,
right,
from an environmental perspective, from an economic perspective, and even social and political sustainability.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. And of course, we are going to follow up to know how the situation will be. That is just part of what we have here in the ongoing devolution conference, and of course, exhibitions. There are exhibitions out there, different counties and different institutions showcasing what they have, and we are going to be going there later on so that to get at least some of the things that have been put out there for Kenyans to have a view and look at them. But for now, I want to take it back to studio. Over to you.
Thank you, Daniel Kariuki, coming to us live from Makueni and talking about some of the issues that are being discussed at the 7th Annual Devolution Conference in Makueni, including manufacturing. Thank you so much, Daniel. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more.